Good evening, warriors. My name is Kerry. I'm the Warrior Queen. And tonight, I'm going to be joined by our brand new Rainbow Warrior. Please welcome to Warrior TV, Caroline.
Hi, everyone. How are you doing? Great,
right.
great. Delighted to be here. Thanks for inviting me on to co-host this.
And welcome to the Warrior team, and welcome to Warrior TV.
Thanks very much. Yeah. Delighted to be part of it. Yeah, it's a great gathering of warriors. Yeah, I'm really excited about being involved. Thanks, Kerry.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to have you on board. I'm glad you've chosen to come and help me tonight. We've got an amazing guest lined up, people. So without further ado, we're going to bring her in, and we'll do some quick fire questions, and then we'll get right into it. So please welcome back to Warrior TV, Jessica. Hiya, Jessica.
Hello.
Hi, Jessica.
Great to see you both. I'm so excited to be a part of your inaugural episode, Caroline. I had no idea. This is awesome.
Yeah. Thanks very much. Yeah, like we were saying, three is a magic number tonight, definitely.
It is. We're hoping 3 is a magic number. Just ignore the fact that nearly 11,000 people are going to see this, ladies.
Sure, that's nothing. That's nothing.
Just ignore that.
Yeah.
It's just us. Because otherwise we're going to be like...
Just the girls.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, obviously, as always, we're going to start with some quick fire questions. So obviously, because the Rainbow Warrior is brand new to Warrior TV, I'm going to ask you as well.
Perfect.
Cat or dog? Caroline?
Oh, tough one. I have both. But I would have to say maybe cats. Sorry, because I'm a little bit of I'm a bit slow and steady myself, you know what I mean? Yeah, so I'm probably more like...
What about you, Jessica?
I'm going dog. I have had both, and I got to represent the dog people. You know,
Okay.
so equal representation. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Christmas or Halloween, Caroline?
Oh, tough one, because in Ireland we have fantastic Halloween. You know, that's where originated. I love Christmas as well, but I'll have to say Christmas, because I think it kind of gets you through the winter months, and I love all the twinkly lights and excitement, and I love Christmas. Yeah, Christmas.
I love Christmas as well. I love all the lights. Yeah. I'm one of these. I'll go, and there's one shop that's nearby me, and they do like an archway of Christmas stuff, of nothing but Christmas lights, and I always take a selfie underneath it every single year.
Yeah.
I love Christmas, and I decorate for all the holidays, and the reason I do that is because otherwise I would put up my Christmas decorations in February. So like I gotta do the Halloween decorations and the fall decorations, because otherwise it would just be all Christmas all the time. So yes, I definitely feel you on that. My husband just watches it get earlier and earlier every year, so you know it's a great holiday.
And I think last year people put up the Christmas decorations way beforehand, didn't they? I know some people put stuff in November to keep us going through the lockdown.
Yeah, I did mine the day after Halloween. I was like, you know what, everything is terrible. This is what brings me joy. So I'm going to do the thing that brings me joy, and that is, and I spent more money than I think my husband is aware that I spent on a very nice fake tree. So now I can put it up as early as I want.
Very good.
So we'll see about this year. We'll see.
Yeah, clever idea. No pine needles or anything to worry about.
No allergies. No.
Brilliant.
No, well, last year, because of the lockdowns, my tree went up before Halloween.
I love it.
Before Halloween.
I love it. I'm in full support of that. I love it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Halloween night, the Christmas decorations was up.
Wow, that's a record.
Whatever makes you happy. Doesn't hurt anybody. It hurts no one.
No.
You know, I mean, and if you can make your soul happy, you know, it's such a simple way. Go for it.
It's just going to confuse the kids a little bit when they're older, and we're wondering why is my mum or dad put up their Christmas and Halloween decorations together.
Oh no, I didn't do that. On Halloween, instead of watching Halloween films, we watch Christmas films.
Did you? Brilliant, yeah. Keep the mood up. Keep it up.
Exactly.
Definitely.
No, well, this obviously last year I ended up with 3 Christmas trees. This year I'm going for 4 Christmas trees. So I think I just let the cat out of the bag because I don't know if Adam knew that. Oops.
He knows now.
Surprise!
I've already got my eyes on my 4th tree, so it's all right.
Oh, great.
I might go buy it this
Wonderful.
weekend actually, just to annoy him.
Yeah. Indoor or outdoor, Kerry? Is it going outdoor or is it going to be indoor?
In
3. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I always end up with 2 trees in my living room and then 1 in my bedroom.
Do they each have a theme, or are they all just, like do you decorate one in each particular way, or are they just all, kind of the same, but just with all your different ornaments?
Last year we had the living room. We changed everything to pink and white. So literally both trees that were in the living room were pink and white.
That's unusual. Really nice.
Yeah, so obviously we had one big tree that was 5 foot, and then we had my daughter's 3 foot tree, and she wanted it like mum's tree. So I got her some extra pink decorations, and we put them on with some pink tinsel and some pink lights, and she loved it.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, and I always
really
make sure
nice.
that I put some chocolates underneath her tree because nothing else fits.
And pink is for self-care, Kerry. If you wear pink, you're actually looking after yourself. So there you go now. There's a double whammy for you.
Yeah. Have you noticed this year in all the shops, everything's pink with Christmas? Pink's going to be a good year this year.
Okay.
No, everybody's
I
going
noticed that.
Like, I had it first.
Oh, you're ahead of your time. You're ahead of your time. Trendsetter, Kerry.
Yep, trendsetter. Mm-hmm. You're an
I had
influencer.
pink and white last year, and everybody's going to copy me this year with pink. And I'm like, I had it first.
Kerry, I have a suggestion. Why don't you put the Christmas tree in your setting now for the interviews? That'll be number 5.
There's a 4. I wonder if I can get a Christmas tree in the background.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a look for one.
Yeah.
Is there any whiskey?
A snow scene.
No. Adam's saying, is there any pink whiskey?
No. Pink whiskey.
No.
I don't know yet.
No.
Hasn't not in Ireland anyway. I haven't seen it.
No. I also put, whoever puts decorations up before November, I'm offering counselling sessions. You didn't offer me counselling sessions, though, did you? But anyway, away from Christmas, because otherwise we can spend an hour talking about Christmas. And then Adam will shout at me. Christmas helps mental health. It helps you feel good. So there you go. We can do a whole episode on Christmas.
You be good,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Yeah, I'm happy to join that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, next question, and my favourite question, the one that all the warriors rob. Does pineapple belong on pizza? Go on, Caroline.
I love pineapple on pizza, to be quite honest. But I know that's not, the right thing to say. But yeah, no, I do. I like it on pizza.
Yeah. What about you, Jessica?
I enjoy pineapple and I enjoy pizza. I do not enjoy them together. So I would have the pineapple for dessert, I think is the way I would do that. But I'm glad it makes other people happy. It's just not my cup of tea.
There's a certain pizza. It's the homemade, the ones that you make in the supermarket. Those ones, when we get the, you can put the toppings on yourself and all that kind of stuff. That kind of pizza, because it's kind of not Italian nearly. It's like I always think it's kind of Irishy kind of pizza style, put whatever you feel like on that. But I wouldn't, if I was going to order a pizza, I wouldn't put pineapple on an ordered pizza. I do a proper one. But if it's kind of a makeshifty homemade one, yeah.
Is it just pineapple? What do you eat with? Because I'm thinking because I get a pepperoni pizza, and that sounds not good, pepperoni and pineapple. But what other things do you put on it? Is it just cheese and pineapple, or what do you make?
Well, you see, in Ireland, I don't know, but Kerry, I don't know about you yourselves now, but there's a supermarket pizza that you can get. You can make up yourself, and like, it's like in Ireland here we kind of do sometimes sweet corn even, and pineapple, and mushrooms and onions, and it's like it's a hybrid kind of pizza. I don't know if you'd even call it a pizza, to be quite honest. I don't know what you call it, but it's like our version of a pizza, but it's not what you would call a kind of posh pizza, But if I was going to a restaurant, or if I was going ordering pizza, I wouldn't order pineapple on it. So there's a difference, maybe. How about you, Kerry?
Chicken and pineapple with plenty of garlic sauce.
Oh, really? So you'd order it like that, would you?
That's my go-to takeaway.
Oh, is it? Okay.
And it doesn't have tomato sauce? Like, is there not a marinara sauce?
Yeah.
Base or it does have?
Yeah, it's cheese and tomato, but then with chicken and pineapple as well.
Oh,
and whenever I order a takeaway pizza, it's always chicken and pineapple with garlic sauce. Wow. It has to be.
I have to try that.
That actually sounds okay. Like, that sounds good. That sounds better than what I was picturing, so I might have to give that a try.
1 second, ladies. My phone's going off.
No problem.
Very popular.
Yes, she is.
We don't have grocery store pizzas, like supermarket pizzas. That's not.
Oh, do you not? Oh, okay.
Not something that I've ever seen. They have like take and bake restaurants that you can go to and just, but not just at the supermarket. So. Oh,
okay. Yeah. So it's a little bit different. Yeah. It's a high. Yeah.
Adam is saying, first Christmas, now talking about pizzas, you ladies are going to make me want one. Might just have to order a pizza after this. Yeah, and my dad's commented, ham and pineapple is called Hawaiian pizza.
That's right.
I don't like ham and pineapple.
Yeah, that's the one I've heard of, yeah.
But I think can we bring actually Christmas and pizza and pineapple and ham all together? And in Ireland, I don't know if you guys do it, but we do slices of ham with pineapple, rings of pineapple on top of it. That used to be something we'd have when we were kids. Did you ever have that? No?
I've tried that once in school. I don't actually like it.
You didn't?
I did.
You did, yeah. No, it was something when I was a kid. Now I'm in my late 40s now, but I used to love it because, the way it was a break from all the stews and stuff. But slices of ham, really salty ham, and then the sweet pineapple slice on top of it, and like for your tea at night, kind of thing. And I used to love that because I thought it was really fancy.
Oh, my dad's commented a turkey pizza with pigs in blankets.
Oh, okay.
I think I've tried a turkey pizza.
Okay, no.
Yeah. Now Adam's eating my chocolate. I'm going to kill him. I'm not.
That's lunchtime for me. So after this, I am going to eat some lunch, and so we'll be involved for sure.
Right, anyway, let's talk about Christmas and chocolate and pizzas. This show's about Jessica. So tell us, who is Jessica?
Jessica, I was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder and ADHD when I turned 40. And it kind of explained to me this pattern I had had my whole career, which was hearing from managers and directors, you're doing great, you're meeting all your production goals, but you're in trouble because people don't like you. Like, you can't get along with people. And that was always a struggle for me because I had no idea what I was doing or saying or what was happening to make that be the case. And I had learned over the course of my career, people had said things like, you really should say hi to people when you walk in. And that just was like, well, why? Like, it would just be baffling to me that would be something that I would need to do. And then once I got this diagnosis, I was like, oh, now all of those things make sense. And then I learned that, and the statistics vary depending upon what source you look at, but one I see pretty consistently is 86% of autistic people are unemployed. And that really got me because I love my job. You know, I love being a facilitator. I love being a trainer. I love helping people. And I know that no matter the challenges I've had in my career, I've actually done pretty well. You know, I have a job I love. I love coaching. I love all the things I do. And so it really became my mission then to do two things. One is help other neurodiverse people have the career they want or the success they deserve to have. And while I'm doing that, helping employers and society be more accepting of neurodiversity and learning how to make changes in their business and their processes and their expectations to more align with being a supportive environment for neurodiverse people, because it's all a personality thing. You know, that's really what it boils down to. Is like 50 years ago, a bunch of old white men got in a room and said, this is what somebody who's professional looks like. This is what they sound like. This is how they react to things. You know, this is the behavior we expect. That's not written down anywhere. It's not in a job description, but it's this expectation that people have. So, you know, I just want to help kind of bring the two sides together so that eventually we have an accepting society where everybody can do the work that they want to do.
Brilliant. That's really fantastic. Carrie, I don't know can I say a few words?
Yeah, of course you can.
Yeah, I know. I just actually think that is amazing because just from my own life experience of, if people don't know, I'm a professional graphic designer and has worked in, you know, branding and corporate for, you know, 25 years. And I've kind of done many different things, but say in my experience at one stage, I was kind of looking after junior designers coming in. I was a senior designer and I had to kind of take in the junior designers and try to train them in. And a lot of kind of, some of the people that I kind of came across were highly kind of creative, but then they might have struggled with different areas that we were I would say unaware of. And I realized that, you know, maybe they could have done with supports in different areas, but because I wasn't trained or I didn't have any awareness, I'm talking about 15 years ago, maybe, you know, they weren't kind of kept on, you know, because they weren't hitting all the marks, like you're saying, you know, and maybe they weren't getting deadlines, maybe they have dyslexia, or they might, you know, like I wasn't even capable of being able to actually understand. Maybe I could see absolutely brilliant, talented people, but like maybe certain areas that weren't actually reaching the mark, that all we needed was a little bit, and then later on realizing there was just a little bit of supports that could be needed, and we had to let somebody, you know, they weren't kept on, you know, either way have a trial for 3 months, whatever. They weren't kind of taken on after that, which was really difficult for me personally, because I could see the absolute beautiful potential and are brilliant, you know, designers, whatever, and having to let them go for little because the work environment was so competitive, and I suppose they needed to be kind of, the people that were senior to me wouldn't have had the patience maybe that I would have had, you know, to kind of work with somebody like that. But, you know, it's fantastic to hear that, like, down the road now that we have people like yourself that are coming in and trying to train, you know, on both sides, like bringing awareness to the actual, because, you know, you're losing the potential, you know, of this fantastic employee that you could have, you know, for in small areas that can just need support or needs awareness around, you know. So it's fabulous to hear that, you know, from yourself, you know, that there are actually coaches available like that, you know.
Yeah, it's often small things, and it really does often boil down to a lack of awareness. And I think one of the bigger issues is neurodiverse conditions are typically diagnosed based upon what the clinician observes, and doesn't have anything to do with what the neurodiverse person experiences, really, because there's kind of these, you know, we think dyslexia, we think reading, we think ADHD, we think hyperactivity, but there's this whole raft of other things that people experience when it comes to how they process emotions and just how they take in information and so many things. And so we're starting from the beginning with a lack of understanding about what even these conditions are. And in a lot of cases, there's not a lot of benefit that people see to disclosing to employers because there aren't support mechanisms. There aren't, there's just so much. There's so much distance between the neurodiverse community and the employment community. And when you can bring people together, a lot of them are fairly solvable, and so that's hopefully what I can do for people, is help facilitate that.
Excellent. And how do you do that? How do you facilitate? How do you build that bridge?
So to me, one size fits all fits nobody. When you look at neurodiversity, first of all, you're looking at a wide range of conditions or wide range of things that people are dealing with. Then on top of that, you have the severity of their symptoms and which traits they struggle with and which traits are really strengths for them. Plus the job. What is the job asking of them? Where is the disconnect there? Where's the delta? Where's the issue? And all of those things together kind of point us to whatever the solution is, because a lot of times people will give advice without looking at what the specific issue is. You think ADHD, you think prioritization. Okay, but what if that person in their job, in their role, that's not something they're struggling with? Well, that advice is not helpful. So what is it? What is standing in your way? Is it that when your manager gives you feedback, you react in a way that is physical, right? Is something on your face, and they're interpreting that as, oh, they can't handle feedback. Well, usually that's not the case. Usually if you come back to somebody the next day, once they've let it settle a little bit, then you can have the conversation. It's just a difference between having the conversation in two parts compared to one part. And that is then the thing that can help somebody move forward. So it really just depends on what the individual is experiencing, what that particular hang-up is, and what their direct manager or director is expecting to see that they are not seeing. So it really is dependent on unique circumstances.
Okay. Yeah, there does need to be a lot more awareness and acceptance of not just autism. I'm going to say autism because of Lucas, but neurodiversity. Adam's got a question. Why do you think the education are so misunderstood every time they come across with a child who has autism or ADHD, etc.?
Now, I just want to preface this by saying I was diagnosed at 40, so I don't have as much exposure to the childhood experience. But what I can say from my own experience is that a lot of things that I know now that are issues related to my neurodiversity were seen as, oh my gosh, she's so cute or so smart, because I was very verbal. I had a great vocabulary. I read all the time. I mean, I would rather read than do anything. And I was bossy. I was very bossy. That's what I was always told, is I was very bossy. And I didn't have friends. I just wasn't, there's all this social stuff that I was missing. But when an adult looks at that little kid who's doing all those things, there isn't anything in that child that says, I need help necessarily. And I think the misunderstanding of how ADHD or autism will manifest, particularly in girls, is an issue. And I think parents and teachers still, especially when you look at something like dyslexia, they default to this kind of, it's a behavior problem rather than it's a learning issue or a processing issue, because they miss all of these other things that are happening in these children who have these conditions. So I think there needs to be a lot more learning that has to happen.
Yeah. So I'm going to take it back to you, Jessica. So how did your life change? Did it change when you got your diagnosis?
That's a good question. So my first instinct was, well, I know what the problem is now, so I'm going to get a coach, and I am going to learn to start work earlier and to manage my time better and to be more empathetic and communicate differently. Basically, I was like, well, I'm going to become Jessica just without the autism and the ADHD. Well, obviously that went as well as you might expect. My company was nice and provided me with a coach who did not have experience working with people with disabilities. And so what she told me to do was, you need to make a list of all of these behaviors that are bad. And you need to email all of your coworkers and tell them that you want to work on these things. So when you do something that's on this list, they should let you know. I was like, but even if somebody tells me that I'm doing something, I'm not going to be able to change it. That's the problem. I've been working for decades on how to change these things. Even if I didn't know the why I was having the issue, I still knew that I had the issue. Yeah. And so that was really, I was like, this is so wrong. Like, this expectation that this is what I will do is not helpful. And then it became, okay, how do I move forward now with knowing that I have, this autism and this ADHD, but I'm still a very competent professional. I'm really good at my job. So how do I now use this microphone that I have and use these skills that I have to let people know, hey, when you think it's a small change, right? You think you're telling somebody, oh, you have ADHD, just use a planner, problem solved. Like, that is so far away from understanding what that experience is, that really there needs to be help there. So getting this diagnosis totally changed the direction of my life, because I'm in a corporate world. I have skills in adult education. I can facilitate, I can do these things, and there is no more important message, and I can speak from this experience that not everybody can speak from. So I definitely took a 90-degree turn when I got these diagnoses.
Yeah. Yeah, you will have noticed there, I pinged up a comment for a few seconds. All around what Jessica has said, there is a lot of prejudice and a lot of just not understanding the person in the first place. And that's comments from my dad. And there is a lot of not understanding people with neurodiverse problems. And yeah, as we said, there does need to be a lot more awareness and acceptance of these conditions. But then obviously there needs to be help for those people as well, because they're going to need more help, more time to process things, and more time to do a certain thing they have to do. So
yeah.
Go on.
Sorry, I'm just thinking, I always feel like, communication and understanding are the two elements of the bridge that, to bring people together, because, and it's, I think it's when we're talking about, understanding somebody, usually people are kind of looking face on, but really you need to come from behind, and kind of look through their eyes and see, what's the experience of life look like for them. And I think that would really kind of help. And it just to understand, like, how a day looks like, how the world looks like through your eyes, Jessica, and, there's a beautiful side to that. And then there's challenges that you will face more than other people, and like we all have different challenges in different areas. And, I suppose it was funny today that I was looking up the word stigma, and I was thinking of, actually, there's astigma is a condition of the eye, and it's when there's a blockage in your eye. And I was thinking of, it's actually, people's perception. So is the issue really, and it's funny, that's what stigma is. So it's actually somebody else's misinformed perception of you, so it's to try and inform them of a correct perception of you, so that's the awareness. And in understanding, and then the support, the communication. So, you know, trying to get those lines of communication is really the bridge, isn't it? You know, and because you seem to have, you know, I'd love to know what are the kind of the superpowers of the field of you know, of the neurodiversity, because obviously, you know, there's some fabulous advantages to you know, your organization skills or whatever, you know. Can you talk a little bit about that? How do you find that you kind of are your strong areas as well?
Yeah. There is a characterization of a neurodiverse person called a spiky profile, which is essentially, if you're not familiar, you know, neurotypical people, if you look at kind of maybe IQ on one axis, and on the other you look at verbal ability, working memory, and, you know, those types of characteristics. And generally what you would expect to see in a neurotypical person is, you know, they've got those skills, and there's not a lot of fluctuation between their strong points and their weaker points. With a neurodiverse person, you tend to see areas of extreme strength and extreme deficit.
Okay.
So for me, my extreme strength tends to be verbal ability in terms of, you know, vocabulary and things like that. Where I tend to struggle tends to be things like working memory, processing speed. And what the area of strength does for me is it helps me compensate for those areas of weakness. If I take longer to process, or if I have to ask somebody to repeat a question, they tend to be a little bit more forgiving, you know, when I'm searching for a word, because I'm able to very accurately deliver my message because I just have words available to me. So I think that's a strength. I think the other thing that I tend to be able to do is take a complex situation and simplify it.
Okay.
And really get to the heart of whatever it is, which is great as a coach, because often that's what I'm trying to do is, you know, somebody is seeing everything that they have going on in their life or their situation. And it's like, how do we hone in on the one thing? The one thing that's kind of the thread that goes through all of it. So, you know, those are good for me. But I think it's important to know that if you've met one neurodiverse person, you've met one neurodiverse person.
Yeah.
Because there's such a strong difference. You know, we have people who are, the term is so big. I mean, even you have people who need a high level of support that are non-speaking, that have the same autism diagnosis, just with a different level than somebody who, you know, would have been diagnosed as having Asperger's. You know, it's just such a range that I think sometimes the terminology even hurts us, because it's harder to get people to understand all of the breadth that these conditions can cover. And the fact that, I mean, I tend to speak about neurodivergence instead of speaking about ADHD, autism, dyslexia, because even though they are distinct conditions and absolutely have, you know, a distinct pathology, there are so many things when it comes to people's emotions, and when it comes to sensory challenges, and when it comes to how they experience life, that it almost becomes easier to talk about neurodiversity rather than condition by condition by condition, because there are a lot of things that are very similar.
Yeah. So what was you like as a child then, before you knew being new with these conditions?
I was loud. And I really hit a point around 5th grade where the differences between me and my peers started to really become profound. You know, that was kind of the age where you weren't just friends with the people that were in your class, people started to kind of form these other groups, and they started to have other interests in clothes and and just all of these things that I didn't relate to. And you started to have choices about who you spent your time with, and I could see people developing these friendships, and I didn't get it. I really didn't, so then it became a challenge in school where people would pair up. That was the worst words that I could hear, is pick a partner, because I knew nobody was going to want to be my partner, and it would just be me and whoever else wasn't popular, that was going to get together. And I didn't know why. I didn't get it. I did not understand. I was also really good on tests, very good on tests. And pretty good if I had to write something. I did it at the last minute, but it was okay. Where I really struggled was homework. And then when they started to say you've got to write a draft, you have to write a first draft or the second draft, I was like, well, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Why would you write the same thing 3 times? I just did not understand. So I really hit a point where those lack of study skills, that lack of homework, that really started to hurt me. I couldn't just carry myself on doing well on the tests anymore. And so I started to struggle then socially and academically. And then it was this, I'm the person who has all this potential that I'm not living up to. Well, that must be because I'm lazy. Or because I'm not really that smart. People think I'm smart, but I must not be that smart. Because if I was, I would be able to do these things. So it really just kind of started to feed into, this depressed kid who would rather hang out with the adults because I couldn't relate to kids my own age. And, so it was a conflicted childhood, for sure.
Yeah, and you know what? You're just listening to that. It makes me think of my son at the moment, because at the moment he'll only hang around with 2 other children. But then when I see him in the yard, there's other children coming up to him and trying to obviously interact with him, but he just doesn't take any notice of it. He's like, go away. So I think he is popular. I mean, we know he's popular because the teachers tell us he makes the class laugh. He's the class clown, basically. But they all love him. Because he knows how to make them laugh. And I think that might be his autism, that he's a comedian. But then he's also very bright because he's really, really good at maths. He's a human calculator. He really is. I mean, he's doing maths that I didn't see till high school. I was like 12, 13, 14 since I've seen these things. And he's seeing them now and doing them now at 9 years old. He's so clever.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. It's funny you mentioned sense of humor. I actually, when I was in my 20s, I did stand-up comedy for like 15 years, I think. That's how I met my husband.
Wow, really?
He was also a comedian. And when we got together, we got married, we knew right away that we were like, all of the things that were weird about me and about him were totally normal to the other one. And we just, it was instant. Later on, we figured out that we both have ADHD and we're both on the spectrum. We had no idea when we got together. We knew that our relationship looked really different than other people's, but it worked for us. And, that's what we were going to do. So yeah, humor is, and it's because people have this idea that, autistic people, they can't do humor. Like, well, not everybody. Maybe you just don't get it. Maybe that's the problem. You just don't get it, but it's there.
You don't have a sense of humor.
No, well, our daughter, things that you said about your childhood, they're also connecting with my daughter as well, because she's very much into her reading at the minute. She's obsessed with David Williams, and she's asked for every single David Williams book there is for Christmas. All right, okay, so I'm going to have to hunt down all these books now. Great. Thank God for Amazon. All I can say. All the presents are going to be in Amazon boxes this year.
Yeah, that was always big for me, is I wanted, whatever I was into, I wanted the whole series. I mean, and now looking back, that makes total sense. But it was Babysitter's Club, and it was Nancy Drew. It was Trixie Belden, which was even a little bit like that's what my mom read when she was younger, and the Hardy Boys and Sweet Valley High, and just these collections. And then once I discovered nonfiction, that really was the thing, because then, I mean, there's only so many Babysitter's Club books, but do you know how many books there are on like World War II? It is just, you can just go to town. And so, and then I started getting into really kind of like more esoteric stuff, like the history of alphabetical order, the history of libraries, the history of dictionaries, you know, and you could just go down these rabbit holes. So, yeah, nonfiction really became my thing. I've sort of cycled back now. I'm a little bit more into fiction at the moment than I have been in the past few years. But Jack, when I find a series, oh my gosh!
Oh my God! I have a series of applied typography here. If you haven't done that yet. If anyone comes, this is our guest room, the attic, and anyone comes in and they feel like they can't get to sleep, I said, there's applied typography there that'll put you to sleep.
Insomnia here, you know. And then I think, you know, it makes total sense to me why you think of the stereotype of autistic people. You think of, you know, these nerdy people who are into like Star Trek and Star Wars. Well, I mean, when you look at these areas of interest for neurodiverse people, there's so much Star Trek. There's so much Star Wars. Like, if you want to jump into something and just totally immerse yourself, these franchises just absolutely lend yourself to that. So yeah, Doctor Who and Marvel, and there's all the stuff that you can get into, and I love all of it because it was just built for my brain. You know, sci-fi was just put there to make me happy. So, you know, it makes total sense to me now. My whole, like I said, when you asked how my life changed, everything changed. My whole life made sense in an instant. My whole life made sense when I got my diagnosis.
To me, when I hear you say all that, that is such a creative brain, you know, because that's what design is divergent thought. So it's kind of like a spark, you know, it's like taking an idea and how many different directions can you take it in, you know, and that's what you do. So you need people like that who can think of lots of different possibilities, because there's not many different people can do that. It is like, it's something in the mind, you know, the way the mind works, you know, and we're kind of always looking for people like that. But actually, as you speak, I'm thinking to myself, so many people that I know, and even there's a lot of myself in there in what you say. So I think there's so many, like I'm 47. So, you know, that I think there's a lot of people of our age that are only just finding out about themselves. But, you know, through my daughter, even, she said, Mom, I think you might be a little bit dyslexic. I'm saying, I'm not, you know, it's just that the letters are kind of jump around on the page a bit, you know, and then I have to really focus. I think, I've got something to tell you. I'm like, oh, really? And then oh, I never was really good at spelling, and right. And I was kind of waiting for that to just click in, but I'm 47 now, and that's
direction. I just thought everybody told me the sense of direction would just happen, right? I still get lost driving to my house. Like it has just never clicked for me. But it's on TikTok. There is this thriving community of late in life autistic and ADHD, and not as much dyslexia, but there are some of, you know, and these people who just are having these revelations of, oh my gosh, it all makes sense. And I think we're going to see that. And for businesses, from a business perspective, the amount of innovation that neurodiverse people can drive, the creativity, the problem solving, the system generation. I mean, if corporations are looking at this as, oh, this is another thing we have to take on, this is something where it's going to increase cost. Look, you're missing out on the impact to your bottom line that working with this community can have. I mean, and plus, you know, they're talking about how hard it is to hire people right now. Well, you know, there's a totally untapped group of people, and the amount of adjustment that needs to be made within a business, to me, is so small by comparison to the impact that it can have on a business's bottom line. It does not make sense to me why people wouldn't want to take advantage of that. So, you know, it's all these these things that happen in somebody's brain, to me, it's like, well, that's exactly who you want tackling a problem, you know, is somebody who thinks differently. So, you know, just got to get more people to see that.
Yeah, we need to get you into the design industry. We need you badly. And I don't know if you know, I know for myself, even when we're talking about my little issues with spelling and stuff, that, you know, apps like Grammarly and stuff have been brilliant for me, because, you know, I can write and I know what I want to say and I'll say everything and it'll all come out. But, you know, I definitely need, you know, support with grammar and spelling and stuff like that. And, you know, I'm just wondering the innovation around kind of producing supports like that within the workplace that could be kind of tailored to, you know, bespoke to each individual. You know, would there be something there? How have you found that? Is there anything there that could be kind of helpful in the workplace that, you know, that could support the work environment, we'll say?
Absolutely. Grammarly is one of my favorites because it not only does spelling and, you know, and grammar, but it has a feature where it'll analyze tone, you know, and it'll let you know, like, hey, this is probably not as friendly as you think it is, you know, and that is that's such a great tool. I haven't come across anything that I would say is able to be, you know, bespoke to an individual, but there are a lot of tools, you know, things like Asana, which is a project management tool that that has been helpful to some people when it comes to keeping on track with not just work projects, but personal projects as well. There's some features in there that people like. You know, the challenge to me is always, especially with the ADHD, is whatever solution you come up with, it's only going to be good for like 4 months, because then that it loses that novel aspect. So you've got to keep finding things. I'm just moving actually to an app called Tusk, I think. Which is a productivity app. I got it because I love elephants and it's got an elephant on it. But that to me is the challenge, is every little while, once my brain starts to have figured out my tricks, I got to move on to the next thing to help myself. And so that is, I think that is something that people don't always realize is what works today might not work tomorrow. But things like body doubling, you know, which is just two coworkers. If you have two coworkers who can sit at the same time for a couple of hours and just do their own work, and body doubling, a lot of people find success with that. Just having that accountability person can be helpful. And that doesn't cost a company anything, you know. There's also some gamification stuff, which has been helpful, like where you get points, you get tasks, you know, for you get points for certain tasks, and then you try to, you know, move up levels, and that can be something. So it's all about whatever an individual person, what sparks that dopamine, you know, or for an autistic person, finding the thing that works with all your sensitivities. It's so individual that that to me is the biggest challenge. There's 1,000 things out there, but what works for you, that's what we have to figure out.
You know, and it's funny you mention that, because, you know, that's what's happening with our son at the minute. We're finding that one thing works for a few weeks, but then it doesn't work. And they're having to find new techniques to calm him down. And then maybe the old ones will work again, maybe not. But it's a constant struggle of finding new techniques to help him. And
I find that with food too. Like
I was
with,
I'm just saying that with my kids. It's like that. You know, you get something that works for a couple of weeks and you go woohoo, and then it's like, no, don't like that anymore. Try again.
As soon as you buy a bunch of it, you buy it in bulk, and that is when they decide they don't like it. I'm the same way. I'm right now lean cuisine pizzas and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches with raspberry jelly. Those are the only two things I want to eat. I'm an adult. I am in my 40s, and that's just, I'll still go to a restaurant and eat other things, but just that's what my brain wants is that's, you know, and I've lately had a hard time with chicken. I can't, the texture is really hard for me all of a sudden, but then it'll change. It'll change in a heartbeat, and it'll be like, oh, this is what I want to eat. Those other things now sound terrible. And, you know, that's what I want to eat. So it makes life now I just lean into it. Now I just lean into it. I used to try to fight it, and I was like, you know what? Who cares?
Yeah,
If I want to eat, that's what I'll eat.
I think it makes life really interesting, don't you?
It makes my shopping super easy.
No, but you know when you change it, most people are kind of stuck in a rut and they don't change anything. And it's great that you're able to be adaptable, but yet you change. You have to keep changing. You've got a little mini routine, like mini routines, is it? It's like a mini routine nearly, yeah. And then it changes again. Yeah.
But that only became possible as an adult when I can make that decision. If it's a parent, who's seeing their kid eat, who only wants to eat one thing, that's a whole different ball game and a whole different issue, especially if somebody's growing, so there are so many things where parents have these decisions they have to make that as an adult who was diagnosed into my 40s, it's a much easier path, I think. I say I wish I was diagnosed when I was younger, but I don't know, because those are challenges that I didn't deal with. We just skipped them. So I don't know. It's interesting. It's a challenging situation for parents for sure.
Oh, it is a challenging situation, yeah, because a lot of what you just said is connecting with my daughter, because one minute she's really into being a vegetarian and wanting everything vegetarian, but then she goes back to a chicken. At the minute, it's microwave pizzas and microwave chips. For the last 3 nights, that's all she's got her to eat. She won't touch anything else, and it's like I'm racking my brain. What the hell? Now I know, And we've got a meeting coming up to talk about her, and I'm going to bring it up. Because what you just said, now I know it probably is that she has autism. But girls are apparently harder to diagnose than boys.
Yes,
Really?
absolutely. Because the traits that manifest in girls are seen as desirable, right? Because girls tend to, it's great to have somebody who's verbal, but girls often present with the inattentive presentation as opposed to the hyperactive presentation. And so they're not the ones that are distracting the class. They're exhibiting these behaviors in a way that is pleasing, to adults. They're not seen as struggling. And that is a challenge. If somebody is a little bit shy or if somebody is quiet, well, good, girls are supposed to be quiet, and so it is tough. It is really tough for girls to get diagnosed. I think we're going to see a slew of girls diagnosed as professionals learn more about how it presents in females.
Yeah, because at school, she's quiet. She's just coming out of a shell, apparently, a teacher says. She's a superstar that helped. Yeah. But then when she's at home, she's a completely different person. It's like, as soon as she goes through the door, it's like, whoa, where's the quiet child gone? Now you're loud.
Yep. I was the same way. I would talk people's ears off when I was at home. But when I was in class, I wouldn't. But when I was in a group, I would be the leader. I was the bossy one, because as an autistic, I know that I really needed to direct that social situation in order for me to feel comfortable, because I couldn't adapt. I didn't want the change, but if I was the leader, I could plan out how everything was going to go. I had this control that I really needed in order to be able to function, because I couldn't operate when there was that ambiguity. So, but again, looking back, I wasn't a troublemaker. So why would anybody think that there was an issue? I mean, it's so tough. It's so tough. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, you're saying that, and I'm just, that's my daughter. That's my daughter, because she is bossy. I mean, when she's at home, yap. I'm like, Tegan, shut up. I mean, we went out shopping, and we had an aim to what to find in the shop. And it got to the second aisle, and I found myself just randomly picking some chocolate Smarties up. I gave her 2 tubes. I'm like, Tegan, shut up. And then she did, dancing up and down the aisle, shaking these Smarties. I'm like, oh, for God's sake. How the hell I managed to spend nearly £40 in that shop with a child shaking Smarties around, I don't know. And I still come on with not getting the things that I wanted.
How old is she, Kerry?
She's 8.
8, okay.
Yeah, she's a little madam.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
that would be right about an age where, looking back, I could see that some of these things I know now started to manifest. And I'm really impressed with you as a parent, because I don't fault my parents at all for not seeing this. How would they have? Really? How would they have? And I was their oldest, so how would they have known? It is really impressive to me that parents now are so in tune with their kids to go, wait a minute, and to see all this information and get it together. There was no internet when I was a kid. So I think for all those reasons, you're going to see a lot of late in life people diagnosed. And I think you're going to see many more girls diagnosed, even at a faster rate than you're seeing the increase of boys being diagnosed because of all this. And parents are they're watching more for these things and saying, hey, how you function in the world is as important as the grades you get or the final thing. And that was not the case when I was a kid.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know anything about autism until my son, he was about 2 years old. And that's when we first heard the word autism. And my first reaction to the word autism was, oh my God. Because I didn't know anything about it. I thought it was this terrible thing, and everything that I thought he'd be able to grow up and do, like have an independent life and maybe be a footballer one day, all these things that parents do when they've got a little boy. I'm like, oh my God, he's never going to be able to have a normal life. But then I started looking into autism. I'm like, okay, so he's going to have an autism superpower. Well, I got curious. Well, what is this superpower that he's got? Yeah. And obviously, as I got more into it, it was people with autism have gone on to do really successful things, been celebrities. So being autistic is going to open so many doors for him. And now I'm just waiting to see what he's going to come out with the next day. Every day is a new chapter with him. It's like he's going to do something brand new, and I'm going to be like, wow. But talking about autism, it explains so much, because now I know why he was so mad with Paw Patrol. He wanted practically every single Paw Patrol toy. It drove me mad. And then he just clicked off it, and I'm like, what? You've got about 500.
Keep in those, Mum. That's over.
Yep.
At this point, he had about £500 worth of Paw Patrol toys. And I'm like, no!
They're like, that's over. That phase is done. I'm off. I'm on to something else.
Yeah, and now it's Minecraft.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. That's cheaper, I think. Minecraft is cheaper.
No, it's not.
It's not. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no.
No, Minecraft Lego is not cheaper.
Ah, yeah. Uh-huh. I was just thinking of the game. See, I was too narrow in my thinking. Yep.
Yeah, the games, fair enough. He loves the game, and he'll sit there for hours playing the games. And I'm like, Lucas, just go play Minecraft. Shut up for an hour. And he will. He'll gladly sit in his room, build all these things, go on the survival mode, kill whatever you have to kill in it, whatever. He does tell me, but I'm like, okay. Go. But then when it comes to the Lego, it's like, oh, Mum, look at this. It's only £52. I'm like, how much?
Yeah, and as an adult, that is tough, because I will want to spend thousands of dollars on whatever my hobby of the moment is, and then never touch it again. I have so much jewelry making equipment. I have, because I did that for a year. I made wreaths for a hot second, and it's this compulsion to spend, because you feel like you have to have all of these things related to that hobby, and then you just drop it. So that has been a challenge for me as an adult. At least now I know why. It hasn't necessarily helped me control the behavior, but at least I know why.
You know what? That's a little bit with me, because it's like when it go back to Christmas, it's like I have to go out and go and buy everything that I can to do with a certain colour that I've got. And obviously at the moment I've got pink.
Pink and white.
Yeah, I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy loads of stuff pink, and Adam's going to kill me. I know he is, because he's going to look at the bank statement and he's going to think, how much is she spending in that bloody home bargains?
But your brain just needs those chemicals, and that is what gives it that hit, and it's to your brain, it's in survival mode. It's that pink thing is not a pink thing. That pink thing is life, and that is so tough.
Life or death, yeah.
Yeah, you can't mention me and home bargains in the same sentence without Adam going, no!
Keeping them in business. You're keeping them in business.
Me and about 1,000 other people, because there's whole groups, home bargains appreciation, and I think there's thousands of members in the group, and they're all dotted around the country, so I'm not the only one.
That's good.
Definitely not.
Oh, and tonight has been absolutely amazing, ladies. Adam's commented, I've got to remind everybody that tomorrow Robin, our addiction warrior, and Abigail, our musical warrior, are on Warrior TV at 1 p.m. for Music is Medicine. Yeah, Music as Medicine. So that's coming up tomorrow. Thank you again for both of you coming on. We're going to have to reschedule and pick it up. And you know what? We're going to do a whole segment just on Christmas.
Oh, I'm there. I'm there.
We're in.
Yes,
right,
definitely. Craft making and reed making and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
You know what I like? Making the paper chains with the kids and putting them on the ceiling. Love it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so cheap.
Traditional, that's it. Yeah.
It's so cheap as well.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much. Lovely meeting you, Jessica.
You as well.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, it was really interesting, and I'm actually really interested in what to maybe reconnect later on, because I'm really interested in what you're doing, and it sounds fantastic to be able to get more very creative, diverse thinkers into the workplace. Yeah, we need that big time for innovation.
Yeah, well, thanks again, ladies, and see you later.
Okay,
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.